What up, just the 50 JP and then the right now I want to talk about something a little sensitive, and it's about relationships again. Okay, I'm just gonna be good to the point, what is usually the biggest how can I say, the biggest point or the biggest factor in or the biggest cause of people breaking up. And there are many of them, there are many of them. But I think the biggest one is entertainment. And not so much as being entertained by someone else, but being able to keep yourself entertained. And even break it down further than that, to be able to be in the company of yourself without going sad or going crazy or having people feel, having thoughts that people don't love you and stuff like that. Now, if you have a relationship and you want this relationship to last, I listen to Too Short, and a lot of things he says really interesting. And basically, he has this one thing where he says, treat them like you meet them. Now I'm talking about Too Short and everything because this is where I hit the information from. But he could have got these from Dolomite or whomever. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where he got his information from and stuff, but I'm sure he got it from the people that he grew up with, his parents and people in the neighborhood and stuff like that taught him these things. But anyway, and then you might say, well, who taught me? Well, I was around all that. I grew up in Detroit, and I've been around all that stuff, and I didn't like what I saw, so I kind of toned everything out, R&B, everything. I was just when I went to LA, it was real easy for me to hang out with white guys and stuff, because it was almost everything black that I knew back in Detroit. It wasn't all bad, but it wasn't as good as I thought it should have been. So it was really easy for me to just shrug it off and stuff, But then there's a lot of other factors that came into play also. But here, let me get back to the point. Anyway, if you want a good relationship, I made this one video saying, you walk up to a girl and say, hey, I'm this, bam, bam, bam. And tell me how you are and stuff. Well, there's another thing too that is very, very important. And I think I mentioned something, how a girl is when she's mad. How do they act, and that's very important. You should always know as soon as you meet a person, when I meet these girls or whomever, I don't care if they're my friends, I just straight up ask them and say, hey, how are you when you get angry? And some of them might slip and tell you, and you'd be surprised, man. They let that monster out the cage early enough where you don't get all heartbroken and stuff, and that's good. But another thing too you might want to consider and ask is, how are they when they're alone? Because some people cannot stand being alone, and that's where people start doing drugs and drinking, complaining, and talking to themselves and start going crazy because of that time they have alone, and they don't know what to do with it, and when you're dating women and stuff, or even the girls, or dating the guys and stuff like that, when you get alone, then how are you gonna feel? Because you can always, sure, you meet, I love you, crazy sex, kissing, going out, and all that stuff. But that stuff is going to get boring because it's going to be the same thing, and there's nothing to kindle that the fire, or keep that fire kindling or kindled or whatever, something like that. And then here comes some other guy, he's different, and he looks fresh because your girl seeing you all the time, and this dude come along fresh and got a new car because just got a new job, and he got a latest model car, and you still got your old car from last year, which is still new, but how people think of this stuff, and he'll walk over and say something, and maybe she has no intentions on doing anything wrong, but when people when you entertain someone and talking to someone, there's only one thing you need to do to get a woman, and that's just make them feel comfortable with you. And once they feel comfortable with you, it's just a matter of a couple of words, and bam, anything can happen, and then bam, there go your girl. But let's not even saying that somebody's gonna come and take her or anything like that. But let's just say you're sitting in the house, and you don't have anything to do. There's nothing to watch on TV and stuff like that. And your girl gets bored and starts saying, "Oh, I'm just tired of sitting in this house and doing this," And what you gonna do? Or if your man say the same thing. Well, I'm talking to the guys anyway. But your girl, she's like, "Well, I don't love you anymore," and all of this stuff, and it's really important to understand how a person is when they're by themselves. Like that statement, "Love thyself." That is really important in a relationship, because for one thing, if a person loves themselves, then they won't get involved with you. Or if you love yourself, you wouldn't get involved with anyone who doesn't love themselves. And it doesn't matter whether or not they like you or not, because most people are better friends they are in a relationship anyway. But than they are in a relationship anyway. But I think it's really important to try to establish, early as you can, how this person is going to be, or how people are going to be, or whatever, or whomever, when they're alone. Because like me and my wife, she'll be at home, and I always sit in the house. And before, I used to always go out clubbing and stuff, and she didn't really say anything. And then I just said, okay, fine, I'll just sit at home. And so I'll be on the computer, and she's not doing anything. And she always complained, "Oh, you always on the computer. And now she's playing these games on her telephone, and she's reading these Japanese anime books all the time, and playing PS3 and stuff. And so I'll come home early, because usually I'll come home at 2, 3, whatever. No, I'm joking. But I'll just come home late, and I'll come home early. And I said, "Okay, come on, let's go do something." She's like, "What?" I said, "Well, let's go upstairs, and hug and kiss and talk." She's like, "Oh, I don't want to do that. It's my free time," and blah, blah. And I'm like, "Well, what about me? I want to do this with you. Well, it's my body and my this." And, she said all this crazy stuff, And at first, I'm thinking this craziest stuff. And at first I was like, "Oh, what am I going to do and this stuff?" And I could easily say, forget that. I'll be out on the street, find another girl in a second, But still, we got married for a reason, because of the kids and stuff. And, I still got at least another 15, well, now it's going to be 14 years to be with her, And if it's going to be a relationship where I cannot enjoy it, because of my selfishness, I should say that, or because I can't find anything to do when she wants to do what she wants to do, then that's on me, and I can't just, run out in the streets and grab another girl for that reason, and that's not good, because it always, well, for me, it always comes back on me and stuff, so, I had to deal with it and stuff, and I thought about it. I said, okay, fine, you're going to do what you want to do. But sometimes I get upset. I'm like, well, what? When I'm on the computer and stuff, why are you always bugging me? But that was because she didn't have nothing to do. So then, all of a sudden, there you go, people making you change and stuff, right? So you change and stuff like that, and like you said, treat them like you meet them, like you treat them and stuff, or treat them like you meet them and stuff. So I'll change, and then I'll be this lovey thing, but that's not what she really wants. So she playing these games or reading these anime books. And like one day I looked at one of the books, they had like a 3P, we call it Sanpi and Menage a Trois going on in the comic books, and I'm like, well, what is she reading this stuff, but they really saying, and is she getting turned on by these books, and then they got these games on in Japan now where you can it's like I guess these fantasy games and stuff, where you can pretend like you're somebody else, and they do it through the computer, and you meet all kinds of people. I'm thinking like, okay, maybe she got a boyfriend, start panicking and stuff. And truthfully, she did, that's on her, because I done been through it and stuff, and it ain't no fun, but hey, if you got gang, which then you don't really have to worry about that, so we went, I went through that and stuff, and so I'm like, okay, fine, but then, what I have to understand is, I always have to keep myself